If you're in retail, I'm here to share 5 areas of focus that you can concentrate on over the next few years that will make a huge difference to your bottom line. I'm going to simply run you through a worksheet that I use with the members of our coaching firm. I'm going to run you through the same worksheet. I'm going to share with you the same worksheet, and I'm going to share with you the same thought process and worksheet that we use with members in our Action Coach business. To focus on the few most relevant areas of the business that will increase bottom line profit. It's called the 5 ways. We call it the 5 ways. To begin with, we're going to use the example of a retail business that's been around for maybe a year, maybe 2 years. They're doing right over $500,000 in revenue, okay? So the 5 areas and we can see that this business, okay. So the example that I want to use here is, let's say this retail. So the example that I want to use here is a retail business that's been around for 1 or 2 years. They've established themselves. They've got some customer traffic happening. And they're doing about $500,000 in revenue each year. Now, after paying for their Now in the last 12 months, they've had 2,322 customers that have led to that $536,000 revenue year. And after paying for the products that they sell, they've retained a gross profit of $185,000 in this business, okay? So the total number of customers, the revenue, and the gross profit, these 3 areas are results, not activity. The activity that leads to those results are what we call the 5 ways. We've got number of leads, we've got conversion rate, we've got average number of transactions, average dollar sale, and margin. And of course, what happens to get customers is we get a number of leads and we convert some of them. That gives us our total number of customers that we're working with. Each of those customers does business with us a couple of times a year. Each of those customers does business with us ever so frequently during the year. And each time they do business with us, they drop off some money, right? They pay for their goods or services. That gives us our revenue figure. Customers times average number of transactions times average dollar sale gives us revenue. And then after paying for our goods, the cost, the wholesale of our goods, we maintain a profit margin. And that's what we get to count as gross profit in a retail business. Now in a service business, this is different. And a lot of the labor in a service business will be assigned to cost of goods sold. But in retail, cost of goods sold But in retail, cost of goods sold really centers on the wholesale cost of the goods that you're selling. So if we look at the 5 ways for this business, they have had. So if we look at the 5 ways breakdown for this business, the activity that actually leads to these numbers in this business. 15, they are open 360 days a year. They take a few days off here and there for holidays. So they're open 360 days a year. They take a few days off. They're open 360 days a year. They close a few days for holidays. And on average, they have 15 visitors each day. So 15 visitors on average times 360 days is 5,400. That's where we get this number of leads, people that walked in the front door over the course of a year. And they have measured their conversion rate for all of the people that come into the front door. For every 100 that walk through the door, they sell something to 43 of them. There's a 43% conversion rate for their visitors that actually make a purchase. So there's where the 43% comes from. So 5,400 times 43%, that's where we get our customer count, 2,322 customers over the course of a year. Now, due to the nature of this business, people come every 2 or 3 months to make a purchase and visit the store. So based on the nature of the retail items in this business, these customers come in once or twice every 3 or 4 months. So based on the nature of the goods that this retail store sells, the customers come in every 2 or 3 months to visit and make a purchase. So that's why there's 5 average number of transactions over the course of the last 12 months for this business. And the average dollar sale is $46.22. Each time, on average, a customer makes a purchase, the average number for that purchase, the average dollar sale, is $46.22. So 2,322 customers times 5 average number of transactions times $46.22 average dollar sale. That's where this business, that's the activity that leads to this business having a $536,000 revenue for the year. Now, after paying for those products that they sell, after some discounting during the year, having sales on seasonal items, slow movers, and getting those out the door, this business currently retains about 34.5% margin. So the gross profit for this business is $185,000. All right. Now, it's important to note that in this business, after we take care of the gross profit in the business, we need to take out overhead after that, right? So for our example, we are assuming that the owner's working in the business some, but the owner has a point person that's full-time and 2 part-time helpers, okay? And the payroll for those 3 people, those 3 team members, is $80,000. And the rent and utilities and a marketing budget for the business, they've invested $60,000 in the last year. So overhead or fixed expenses for this business are $140,000 total. And we can do the math there. If we take the gross profit figure, $185,000, subtract that $140,000, that leaves this business owner with $45,000. Whoops. That leaves this business owner with $45,000 of net profit at the end of the year. So what we're going to do now is look at what it would So what we work with our coaching member so what we work with the businesses who are members in our Action Coach business. So what we work on with the members that are So what we work on with our members is how we can focus on each of these areas of activity in the business and improve each of those areas that are most relevant. And that the compound effect takes over. The way that we approach increasing profit with the members that we work with is we look at each of these 5 areas of activity in the business independently and work out what are 1 or 2 or 3 strategies over the next quarter, the next 12 months that are the most relevant that we can take some steps forward in the business and improve those numbers. So for our example, I want to walk through what that might look like in the first year of working together. So number of leads, really that's the marketing in the business. And the better our marketing is, the better our referrals are. There's a lot of different ways to improve that. That will lead to an increased number of leads coming in the front door. So what we're looking at year over year, last year, they experienced 15 on average, 15 customers. Last year, this business experienced an average of 15 visitors to the store on a daily basis, on average. With improved marketing, what we're looking at here is increasing that from 15 to 20 visitors to the store on average. So what we're looking at year over year is improving the marketing so that instead of 15 average visitors to the store daily, we increase it to 20 average visits per day to the store. Now 20 times the 360 days that this business is open, that gives us 7,200 Now 20 multiplied by 360 days that this business is actually open of a year, that gives us 7,200 visits into the store over the course of the next 12 months. That's with improved marketing, right? So when it comes to conversion rate, that's our sales process. That's also the atmosphere and the energy of the store. I've got a lot of years in retail, so I know how this works. When you come into a store, it feels flat, or it feels When you walk into a retail store, it's either a negative energy or a positive energy, right? There's energy that comes from the environment, from the atmosphere, from the smells, from the sounds, and from the demeanor and the posture of the team members that are in the retail business, right? So by working on the presentation of the store, how it feels when you walk into the store, and the interaction that people have with your team members when they walk in the front door and are served, by working on that, we can improve the conversion rate. So we're going to say that last year the conversion rate was 43%, we see here. And this year we're able to increase that by 5% to 48%. So our new number of customers from last year to this year increased from 2,322 up to 3,456 customers total. That's a pretty nice jump. And you'll see here that represents a 49% increase year over year in customer traffic in the store. Now, average number of transactions is all about repeat business. And in many businesses, not every business, but in this business, in the first 12 months, we're working to increase that bit by bit. And part of the sales process can lead into the tendency for the repeat business to increase. The sales experience, the experience while shopping in your business that someone has, can lead to them having a higher aptitude to coming back in and visiting more frequently. So instead of a 5 average number of transactions across all of the customer base over the year, it increases slightly to 5.5. It could be more significant than that, but we're just going to be conservative with our numbers here, okay? An average dollar sale is pricing strategy. It's your product assortment. It's how you package different products and services together. Now, this business, let's say that they've been discounting too frequently, and we tighten that up. And in addition to that, we also focus on goods that are able to be sold with an add-on sale more frequently. And we teach the team members how to make a suggestive sale to upsell or downsell, whatever is most appropriate. But it leads overall to a higher average dollar sale over the course of the year. So the average dollar sale here goes from $46.22 up to $53.17. You know, it's a significant increase, but it's not outlandish at all. It's a pretty conservative increase. So if we take the total number of customers now, 3,456, multiply that by our new average number of transactions, multiply that by our new average dollar sale, look at what happens year over year in this business. It goes from a $500,000 business to breaking $1 million in 1 year. And that's pretty cool. So we can also see that represents, just with the numbers we're using here, that represents an 88% increase in revenue. When it comes to margin, 34.5% in retail is not good enough. We need to work on increasing the margin in this business steadily over time. So there is a limit to the margin that we can obtain, but we definitely have room to work here. So what we're going to do is tighten up our discounting. We're not going to discount unless we just need to get rid of something. We're not going to discount and be in that behavior or habit of discounting. We're also going to work with our vendors. Hey, we're selling $1 million worth of goods now, right? That means that we can work with our vendors on a little bit deeper discount in our terms. So whereas we may have had 2% in free freight, let's ask them for 4% in free freight this year. So those types of items can add up to significant increases in margin that we're able to keep, right? So we're going to say that this business increases from 34.5% margin up to 38.4% margin year over year. So if we take that $1,010,000, multiply it by our new margin, 38.4%, that means that our gross profit is $388,000, and that represents a 110% increase year over year in gross profit, which is massive. So let's look at the other numbers here after we take out our overhead expenses. Now, of course, with more customer activity and more sales, that means that we do need more help in our retail business. So what I've done is I've reflected that in the payroll. I took payroll from $80,000 up to $125,000 to account for a couple more part-time helpers. And I also increased the rest of our overhead from $60,000 up to $75,000 because there's probably some additional marketing that we've invested in, and there are a couple of other ancillary expenses that may increase, not incrementally, but increase in the direction of the revenue increase, right? So year over year, the overhead expenses increased from $140,000 up to $200,000, but our net profit year over year increases from $45,000 to $188,000. Now that is a direct pay increase for you as the owner. What a massive pay increase. That's almost 4x. Actually, it probably is 4x. 4x pay increase year over year for you as the owner. And that's while increasing your team size and increasing So let's look at what might happen in the second year that we're working with this member of our Action Coach community and what is possible to take it the next step up. So this is where it starts to get really exciting, okay? If it wasn't exciting enough in the first year of working with this business, the second year we're starting to really take off and see some just massively significant numbers here. So, same exercise, right? We can do this year after year after year in any business. This is how we get such massive profit results with the members that are working with us. So, in leads, last year, so when it comes to leads for the second year that we're working together, instead of 20 folks So we're going to look at our marketing again. How can we continue to test and measure and improve our marketing so that instead of 20 visitors a day in our business, we get 25 visitors a day? All right? So again, just an incremental increase, not outlandish numbers here. But in a 360-day year that this business is open, 360 times 25 brings us to 9,000 visitors into our store over the course of the year. We're going to continue to work on our sales process so that we can increase from 48%, a couple more percent, 4 more percent up to 52% conversion rate year over year. We're going to continue to train our team on salesmanship. We're going to improve the interior of our business. Maybe we need some fresh paint. Maybe we need to change the layout a little bit. But all those things add up in retail to a better customer experience and a higher likelihood of sales. So we now have 9,000 visitors over the course of the year, converting 52% of them. Last year we had 3,456 customers, and now we've got 4,680 customers year over year from year 1 to year 2 of working together with this business. Same deal with repeat business. We're going to continue to find ways to impress and create a wow experience for our customers when they visit us. And we're getting more effective at that too. We're starting to get some momentum with our team and with our customers. There's more energy there. So we're going to say that we're able to increase the average number of visits and transactions these customers make from 5.5 up to 6.5. Again, it's not a crazy increase in the number, but it makes a big impact by the end of the year. We're going to do the same thing with average dollar sale again. We're going to consider what are we discounting that we made mistakes on when we were making our buy for the store. How much are we carrying over from season to season that we have to discount? Maybe we need to control our inventory levels a little bit more carefully. And also, how can we, again, package some things together so that we can increase that average dollar sale just a bit? So a combination of those efforts takes it from $53.17 last year average up to $59.88 this year average. 4680 times 650 times 59.88. Last year we broke $1 million. This year we're at $1.82 million in this business for revenue. We're going to continue to take incremental steps up and forward in negotiating with our vendors on additional terms that can benefit us financially. And we're also going to tighten up our discounting. We're going to increase our average dollar sale. All of those things will lead to the margin increasing. So $1.821 million times 40.9% gives us a gross profit this year of almost $750,000. Okay? That is another 92% increase on gross profit. Now, if we do the same exercise and consider our overhead, what that looks like, we're going to need a couple more team members to help us manage that level of business. So I've accounted for that in our payroll, $170,000, a couple more part-time helpers. I've increased the overhead expenses from $75,000 to $100,000. That gives us a total of $270,000 of overhead that we're taking out. $745,000 minus that $270,000 leaves us with $475,000. This is almost $500,000 of take-home money for the owner at this point. Just 2 years into working together, and when we started working together, this owner was bringing home $45,000. This is absolutely possible in any business with the right guidance and the right areas of focus. That's why I'm sharing it with you, because it's exciting, and we experience it with all of the clients that we work with. And we experience it with all of the members who participate in our programs. So at this point, I'm just going to lay out the next 2 years, year 3. So at this point, I'm just going to lay out the next 2 years, year 3 and year 4 of us working with this member in our Action Coach business. And what it might look like, again, just incrementally increasing what's happening in this business. Whereas we've got 25 people visiting the business here daily, this is 30 and this is 35. That's where those numbers come from. Incrementally increasing the effectiveness of our sales team year over year. Incrementally increasing the quality and the energy of the experience that customers have in working with us and our team. Incrementally working on increasing that average dollar sale. There are a lot of ways to increase average dollar sale. And this is just small steps forward each year for this business. So this business started out $500,000. 1, 2, 3, 4 years of working together. per this example, and I think this is absolutely doable, $4 million in this business. And obviously that's almost a 10x. So when this business came to us, they were at $500,000 of revenue. And 4 years into working together, we're at $4 million revenue just by incrementally working on each of these areas of focus in the business. The gross profit is an even bigger increase. This business started with a gross profit of $185,000 when we first started working with them. Now they're doing, per this example, almost $1.7 million in gross profit. Now, if we look at the net profit for this business over time, per this example, and there's factors that can take this up or take this down too, right? It depends on how much you're paying in rent. It depends on how much you're paying your team. But I put in here some pretty realistic numbers, I feel, and it depends on the market too. You know, some markets demand a higher pay and demand a higher rent than other markets. So just think through this for your situation and look at what the numbers can still unfold this way. The percentage increase can still happen the same way regardless of the market, okay? So this business, when we first started working together, brought home $45,000, which basically just is which is not a very exciting income, frankly, for an owner, right? Year one, $188,000. Year two, almost $500,000 income for this owner. Year three, over $800,000 of income for this owner. Year four, this owner is doing almost $1.3 million in net profit that they get to take home or figure out how to reinvest. That's a pretty amazing story for the next 3 or 4 years in this business. So my background real quick is I've got 20 years of experience in retail before moving on to becoming a business coach, and I've been coaching businesses for the last 5 or so years. We have all sorts of industries and all sorts of businesses that are members in our Action Coach business coaching community. We have all sorts of industries, all sorts of businesses, and we have all sorts of industries, all sorts of sizes of businesses. Some businesses are 2 years old that we work with. Some are 40 years old that we work with. And every one of these members experiences the same dramatic impacts to their business and to their team and to their community. If any of that gets you excited, like it gets us excited, then we should talk. I'm happy to look at your numbers with you and walk you through this. It won't cost you anything to do that. Reach out and we can look at what your numbers are in your retail business. Retail is really interesting to me, and I've got a lot of background in it, so I'm happy to lend some perspective and talk you through some new ideas on how to get different results, not just more of the same. Cheers to you, and cheers to your business's growth. Cheers to your success and growth. And until I see you again, all the best.